Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon to you too.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much. Oh, yes. No, we'll come through to you. Let's deal with the form. Oh, yes. No, I think you should be able to see all of us. Well, we have got Mr. Sandile July here, and we have got Advocate Ngconde. And then we have got the transcribers and the recorders, and that's it.
Transcribers and the recorders.
Yes.
Okay.
We will do the formalities, and the formality will be the administration of an oath or of an affirmation, which will be done by Advocate Ngconde. And I think let's get Ngconde. Ngconde. Ngqele. I'm sure you have had conversations or email communications with her.
Advocate Ngconde.
Ngconde. Yes.
Okay. You must call.
Okay. Okay, Tata. Are you going to take an oath or affirmation?
I'll take an oath because I've taken an oath for years in this country.
Yes. Mr. Ngconde Balfour, do you swear that the evidence you're about to give is the truth, nothing but the truth? And if that is so, please raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Thank you. Mr. Ngconde Balfour, you've now been sworn in as a participant in the SJN hearings. Thank you.
Mr. July?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Kuti.
Yes, my name is Sandile July.
Your name is
Sandile July.
July.
Yes, we spoke over the phone when I wanted to get if you've got a submission to make, and then you said you have no submission that you are going to make, give it to me in writing. So you will just talk about your period as the Minister of Sport.
Absolutely.
So, Chairperson, I don't have the submissions from Mr. Balfour.
No, thank you very much. He's a seasoned campaigner. And I'm sure there is a lot that he will want to tell and give us a perspective about the sporting code cricket during his time as minister. And Togu, you are quite free to start it where you want to start it. If you want to start it from your own experience as a player or as a person who grew up in an area where cricket was played as Lalini, all of that, we need just your perspective, because we have decided that in this segment of this social justice and nation building project process, we want to get the perspectives of historians, of people who know the game, or people who have been playing the game, but even of people, most importantly, who were in our post-apartheid democratic South Africa in administration, what they dealt with in cricket during their period of ministry, and things associated with those. You will know that this project is, in its terms of reference, seeks to find out whether racial discrimination or gender discrimination or both race and gender discrimination made any impact on the sporting code cricket, so that we can, in the end, when we write our report, determine what the role or what happened in the past and what the position is in the present and what the position should ideally be in the future. And we know for a fact that that kind of report that we will generate will be poorer if it does not include your perspective, both as who you are, where you grew up, which we know in the Eastern Cape is an area associated with this game of cricket, but most importantly, what in the post-apartheid Democratic Republic you did or happened when the question of transformation in this sporting code was being addressed by the government in which you so proudly and effectively served. So we'll give you that wide latitude and we'll give you the floor to speak from the heart as you should and as I know you can.
Thank you very much, Advocate Dumisa Ntsebeza. I'm happy, first of all, thankful and grateful that I'm given this opportunity to just talk about sport. Not only cricket, but sport that I love. The first thing I should say, I should actually introduce myself to those who don't know me. My name is Ngconde Balfour, Ngconde, Matemba Bryce Balfour, from Ngconde in Alice, one of those very, very highly appreciated venues, Kubanda Bebefunda, people who went to school in Alice, at Lovedale, or even at University of Fort Hare, where I'm sitting right now. I'm a product of sport, not only cricket, but I'm a product of a number of sports, but the ones that to me come to mind all the time is cricket, because I played it. It's a rugby, because I played it. And then you have soccer, and you have other sports federations in our country. Just soccer from a very, very poor village. But the only thing that put us together was sport. And I don't think I will quote Madiba as saying sport is the unifier of people, but also sport is the barometer that you can be able to test by to understand the social life yabantu. So that's my background. I played cricket for the Fight Again Cricket Club, Ngconde, where my father was the captain of that. There was no turf wicket, those who know what I'm talking about in cricket. It was a matting wicket, and we grew up playing on that. Getting a red ball of cricket was something that was very challenging for Odada and the others who followed after them. We couldn't even have a cricket ball at that time. We had to put together a number of people to sponsor, if I may use that word. There was no word called sponsorship at that time. Just ask whatever money they have, and we buy a cricket ball and play. And sometimes both teams playing in Alice would actually use one cricket ball, the red one, because the white one came then last. And we'll be able then to bring in lots of people from the villages. If we are playing against the Conquerors, which was also a club I played for, and the other can never give up, you've got a lot of them, as Lalini villages, Zakwansela, right up to Fort Beaufort, right up to Middle Drift, right up to King Williamstown and Ngconde. We were those kinds of people who were just keen to play the sport. And I sometimes, advocates would tend to go on to other areas of sport, not only cricket. And we grew up in that kind of environment where we supported each other, grew up to become then cricketers of note. And I'm telling you about now what we call the cricket belt of black South Africans in South Africa, which was not recognized by the powers that be, but that's not an issue now. The issue is, where did we go from there? Now, cricket has faced many challenges. I've seen that, I've worked with that from the time that we started unity processes to try and get the sport to be played and to be loved, followed by everybody in our country. That was not an easy journey. It had its own challenges. We had to do a lot of work to try and put it together. And at the end, we brought in, as the National Sports Congress at that time, we brought in a number of people to talk about cricket, how we love the game, not only that, but double up for other sports as well. Now, I'm sitting here in front of you to just let you know that to most of us who played the sport, it was not about any benefits. It was not about any financial benefits or even position. We started at club level, which is, to me, the foundation of cricket and the foundation of any sport. And rode through that, through a lot of hard work to get our people going all the time. We got up into mountains and we went into valleys to try and get cricket to be united. I can mention a number of people like Mtobi Kamzashe, Luleki George, may his soul rest in peace, Krish Makeduch, Colin Clark, the number of them, Barney Leandritz, a number of people that worked hard to get us into the mainstream of cricket in South Africa, our country. We're not fighting about the ICC. We're not fighting about anything. We're fighting about uniting the people of South Africa and the youngsters coming after us to make cricket a career. At that time, we didn't think it was a business. We knew it as what we love, the passion of cricket. Ronnie, Pile, former judge, was one of those. Then I can mention Ukaya, Majola. I can mention a number of Dan Craig and others. We banded together to try and change things so that the future looks bright for our children. And if anybody can ask me a question, if we succeeded, no hesitation, we did. But we knew we've got challenges that we've got to face. Making sure that we dismantled what was based on racial lines and make sure that we become all South Africans and nothing else. So from club level to provincial level, district or whatever you want to call it, up to the top, we did. I remember one thing before I cry. We had a meeting where was it? Let me think. Where we sent a delegation of cricketers, administrators at that time, to talk to SACU, South African Cricket Union, and say to SACU, please, let's pull this together and make sure that it works. It was not easy, but that's not here, nor there. We got to a stage where we unified and moved on. Now, if anybody asks me, what were the milestones at that time? One of the milestones was getting to stop the dirty show, to stop the rebels from coming to our country and disrespecting us. We did. We did. I went to Lords for the first time to try and stop the dirty tour because we wanted to unite cricket and South Africans. That's fine. Not a problem. We got there. We stopped it. And we worked to unite cricket. But Steve helped us a lot. When I talk about Steve, I talk Tangana, which had helped us. We got there. Now, let me move away from that. Tangana took over in the new democratic dispensation as a sports minister. I worked closely with him. I was not employed by the department. I was just doing a patriotic duty. We did. He went on from 1994, to become the Minister of Sport. Did the fixing up of sport, including cricket. I'm not going to isolate any sport, including cricket. And by the time he was appointed to the next thing in government, I was roped in to become the sports minister from 1999 up till 2004. And if anybody asks me if I would do it again, I would, but I'm 67 years old and I don't need to come back to do anything because I don't need to be appointed as anything. I was appointed as something and I did my job properly. Now, in this situation we're in for transformation and putting transformation forward, I made a theme when I took over in 1999, and my theme was, Tangana has done, Steve Tangana has done all that is needed to make sure that we have unity. And mine was, from now on, where do I take the sports portfolio? And cricket is part of that. It was, to me, my theme was, where are we going? Where do I take you, sport? When I got a point, where do I take you? And I came out with one theme. Our destination now, from 1999 to 2004, is transformation. That's where I'm going to take you. Nothing else. No frills, no nothing. It's transformation. Transformation is not about numbers only. It's not about numbers only. It's about attitudes, that we need to change those attitudes and be open to everybody. That's the one thing. The second thing was, I'm an enabler rather than somebody who's going to interfere in sport, but I'm going to enable sport to move forward. I will intervene whenever there is a challenge. And I want all of the federations to know I'm the father, I'm the mother to all of them. I will treat you in a way that you will be you'll be able to embrace. Then I themed this thing, destination transformation, but I also said, we're going on a train now, and I'm the driver of that train that's going to take you there. Whatever problems you have, come to me, I'll talk to you as the minister. But I'm not just a minister. I've been a sports administrator. I went to Australia to study that, and I came back to implement in South African ways what we're going to do to move forward. This train, I'm going to drive everybody, all federations on this train. Come on, cricket included. Let's go. We're going to our destination, which is transformation. It means that attitudes have to change. We've got to accept each other, cajole each other, kick at each other, but no injuries. Let's go. Let's move forward. That's the kind of 1999 to 2004 that I had, respecting the democratic processes of any club, any federation, respecting that. Let's move forward, guys. Whenever there's a problem, talk to me. Now, cricket was one of those. And as a former cricketer and a former captain of Victoria East Cricket Board, I've got people like Ronnie Pillay, nationally, Krish Magedush, nationally, a lot of others. I served on the Western Province Cricket Board when I was chucked out of the sky for smiling too much at the things that we need to do. But at the end of the day, I ended up being in one of those cricket bodies that worked with the South African Cricket Board to make sure, in SACU, we are united, we move forward, change your attitudes, let's accept one another, we are South Africans, let's move. Respecting the democratic processes. That's one thing I don't want to lose. From club level up to, yes, there will be challenges. Yes, we'll go up mountains. Yes, there are challenges. But this train going to destination, transformation, is going to go. I will enable you. I will attend to all the issues. Let's go. I think I have given you the background. Utatam, my father, used to say, Sidlala ibola, cricket, eyadina sekhaya. And the dad would say, hey, Kwetini, ayidlalwa njalo lo ball. You don't play that ball like that. If it's a ball that's short, you either get to it, you duck under it. We didn't have the helmets. We didn't have the bats. We had a bat that were done by Iplang. But nowadays we've got bats. I've got an old bat here. I love the sport. I love cricket. I love all sports. But it must be done in a way that enables a child from Ekopo, a child from Emusina, a child from Eguguletu Kwalanga, a child from Mtata to love the sport and to play the sport and make sure that you don't elbow anybody out of sport, out of cricket, out of rugby, out of even Yex game. You accept, cajole, talk, move forward, and we'll be there as South Africa. I'll rest my case for now. I'm just giving you the background of where I come from, and from there becoming the Minister of Sport from 1999 to 2004. Not a day did I have anything that made me to intervene, but I've watched sport, even though I was away from sport. I've followed it because I love it. Lastly, please ask me tough questions. When those 40 players came out, I bled, B-L-E-D. I bled because I didn't think we were still that far back in embracing our journey to transformation. I didn't think so. And now, here you give me a chance, advocates, Cricket South Africa, give me a chance to talk about that. There's nothing in my papers, if I write anything down, that will alienate any person or implicate any person. I don't need to do that. I just need to say to yourselves, Keep going, guys. We need to get this thing right. That's all I want. Let's get it right so that our children can look back and say, Abo Dada have really made us proud. Thank you.
Thank you, Tog. I'm sure there will be dialoguing. In other words, we should feel free to discuss various aspects that come out of your presentation, and I'm sure Sandile, that is Mr. July, and my colleague, Advocate Mele, and I will take advantage of your presence here and advantage of the fact that you speak from the heart, and which I think is going to assist us, because we really would like to dialogue around issues that have come in the last 30 years. You know, I mean, it's amazing. I cannot help thinking that the mandate period which Cricket South Africa through its board has given me and my colleagues around the table to look at spans over a period of 30 years, from 1991 to 2021. And the mandate actually reduced to its bare minimum explanation of what it is that we need to scrutinize that period of 30 years and say, did racial and gender discrimination impact on the sporting code in this period of time? Now, I've said in most of my interviews before today that this thing called transformation seems to mean different things to different people. And I think the aim of this project is to see to what degree there is a commonality of understanding of what it means. But over and above that, it seems to me, it is something that obviously has engaged people in the field of play, people in the administration, coaches, managers. Hence the question, what was the role of racial and gender discrimination in this sporting code? What were manifestations of discrimination? What in your period would you consider to have been manifestations of racial discrimination and gender discrimination? And I can see that you were very passionate about what you perceived to be either nothing much happening or that there were significant barriers to transformation taking place. And since my mandate is to look into that, I would be pleased if you tell us what was in your mind when you came with the theme, Destination Transformation. Because it's a very good theme. Destination Transformation. What informed you? What were you seeing? What did you want to hear? What did you want to see for you to be able to say, my wish is in the process of getting to that destination?
Thank you, Advocate. Thanks, Dumisa. I'm well aware of the, first of all, the protocol, so I've got my mask on. But when I address it, because I'm on my own, it's not just an open public place. I've done my sanitization and everything. And thank God, I've also got my 2 Pfizer jabs last week on Tuesday. So I've done my jabs and everything. Now, let me come back to this, what you're asking me. Given the background of where we are coming to get to unity and everything, remember, all those things were based on racial lines. Remember, we were quite aware when we were putting these structures together that these structures were based on racial lines. Very aware of that. But the task then was, how do we break through these attitudes and these things from the past so that we put up a flag for a new South Africa? So I was quite aware when I was appointed, at least for me, out of the blue, because I didn't think I was deserving of anything or I had worked for anything to come my way. I was just a village boy. I still am a village boy who loved his cricket and wanted to pit his skills given to him by his father, Utatumaka, my father, and Aboputi Abadala in the village. I would love to play against some. I was saying, we would love to have played against some of these cricketers from Saku, who we saw what kind of privileges they had. And we felt we've got skills. We can take them on. But unfortunately, the situation didn't give us that opportunity. And it's not a problem. We're not bitter about that. But we're working for the future rather than from the past. There were challenges. And when I look back now and say, if these cricketers nowadays are facing those challenges, surely we have to blame. We have to take accountability for that because we didn't rush or push this thing to its own limit. So that's from the past. We are carrying that baggage of wanting to move forward and breaking these racial divisions and these racial lines, but carrying it without any bitterness, carrying it with humility so that we can get everybody in, particularly the youngsters coming from these villages and coming from far-flung places. Now, 99 came. I put that and say, here is my train. Train is going to a destination. Trains don't stop anywhere. Trains go to a destination. So for my term, the destination is transformation. And I just said, all of us, come together. Let's work through this. Carrying those baggages, Advocate, of racial exclusion, racial divides, and superiority complexes that existed. And we knew we've got to find each other in this. We're not going to fight just for the fight of it. We don't win battles. We want to win a war against racial discrimination and racial lines, and gender as well is included in that, because there are a lot of ladies, women, mothers, and fathers who knew that we need to make sure that this thing doesn't happen again. So during my period, I was just into that space, that zone of working for transformation, but being an enabler rather than fighting angry wars without winning them. So that was my theme to take us forward. And during that time, Advocate, everybody in cricket, everybody in every sport knew. I kept on saying, I am the father to everyone. Others were older than me, others were younger than me, but let's work it out. Let's make sure. There were challenges, and those challenges were never really the issues that I would deal with. I would still say a few things that there are a lot of cricketers that we assisted so that they understand this thing, both from the white community and from any other community, to make sure that they understand where we are going. We're not fighting each other. We are correcting each other. We're trying to make sure that our future children have space to get in and work their way through. You don't just parachute young or old people into anything. You work with them, cajole them, mentor them, and make sure that they on all sides. There were challenges. But to me, that was not only the issue. To me was, this train is going to chug along. Nobinyuka in mountains in Drakensberg, Nobinyuka in Kilimanjaro, or Inyuka Himalaya, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Now, there are three names you mentioned, and I would like you to tell the listening South African public about what you remember them for and their contributions to have been to this beautiful game called cricket. I'll start with Mthobi, spelled M-T-H-O-B-I, Tyamzashe, spelled T-Y-A-M-Z-A-S-H-E. Just tell us about Mthobi Tyamzashe, what you remember of him and why you were moved to even mention him. Anything you can say insofar as you remember contextualizing him in the game of cricket.
Ngconde Advocate, thank you very much. If I talk about Mthobi, I'm talking about Indangam. I'm trying to get it in English. I'm not sure I know English very well. The three of us in cricket and in cricket unity on the journey, we found out about each other. One, that we are of the same age, Mthobi, Greg Fredericks, and myself. Purely out of working together, did we know that we are of the same age. In August, I'll be turning 67 in August. And I'm sure Greg and Mthobi would be doing that. We've kept in touch. Mthobi was the engine room of the National Sports Congress. We relied on him for absolutely everything in terms of administration. And I take off my hat for Uchangisa because we work together. One of the things I would laugh at, which he does most of the time when we talk, is that every time we had these meetings with Saku at that stage, he would actually say, Ngconde, I'm depending on you on this because you have e-bag and I still remember that. Those old bags that you could, as an activist, you put all your stuff in. If you get arrested, you get arrested for everything that's there. And Ntobi was that kind of person would say, I know one person who's going to deal with this. Every time they raise something, I would raise a paper, a document out of my bag, and Ntobi would say, Ngconde, it's yours. And I would be able to respond to those things. Going to London to stop that cricket tour, one of the people who felt I should be in that delegation, I've not been out of the country on a visit like that before, from Solomon's stage. And he said, because he knows what he's talking about. That's the Ntobi I know. And we came back and stopped that tour. And Ntobi was the engine room in all of that we were doing. Engine room of the NSC. And I take off my hat for Ntobi. He went on to become the first Director General of Sport in this country. And I have a lot of respect for Ntobi because and we talk the same language. So Uchandisa is that type of a person to me, not only for cricket, but for sport in general. When I came in as a minister in '99, he was just going out as a DG. As you know, DGs do that by the president. I don't have to get, those are the administrations politically. But I've always trusted on him. And I think he always trusted on me. Work together to make sure that the destination was transformation. We didn't get there bitter. We went in there, yes, a little bit angry, but the political education we got was, it's not about your bitterness. It's about the future of this country. So Ntobi has done that.
Thank you very much for that. Advocate Ngele wants to put a question to you. I still am going to come back to the two other names you mentioned, but perhaps this is a convenient time for Advocate Ngele to put the question.
Thank you, Chair. Dr. Balfour, my question just stems from your statement. You mentioned that transformation is not about numbers only. It is also about changing attitudes. So I just wanted you to elaborate on that. So I want to understand, during your term, whose attitude in particular were you aiming to change? What process did you follow or adopt in trying to change these attitudes, and whether, which is the last question, was there a shift at all in terms of, you know, people's attitudes by the time you left office? And Dr. Balfour, just to sort of help you understand also the context in which I asked this question, is that in the last 2 days of the hearings, it's just been a recurring theme that, you know, attitudes just haven't changed, you know. So I just want to understand, you know, from you know, during your term, was there any shift at all in attitudes? Thank you.
Advocate Ngale, thank you very much. Now, attitudinal changes are not very easy sometimes. And I think when we went in, and I'm talking about before and after, remember, the periods I'm talking about is before unity and then up to 2004. I don't want to spill over 2004. I don't want to be ruling, I didn't want to be ruling from the grave at that stage. We thought with meetings and meetings and meetings, attitudes would change. And whoever was on the other side of the National Sports Congress we tried to reach out as much as we could, to reach out to say, come on, guys, guyeses and guys. Advocate Ngconde would kill me if I say guys only. Guyeses as well. Come on. Let's look at this thing in a broader context. Yes, things have gone wrong with the apartheid and whatever system, but here we are. We're the future. We're not only the future, we're the future of the future. So we need to talk about this. We had meetings and meetings to deal with that without bullying or trying to bulldoze anybody. Jardine, may his soul rest in peace, Uncle Bill, would say to us, was older than us, look, if you go and meet with SACU, which was the cricket union at that time, with all the people that were there, and I'm not implicating anybody in this, I'm just mentioning fact. People who were there understood, although it was sometimes very confrontational, but we tried to keep it as level and as even as we could. Angry or not angry, doesn't matter. What matters is the future of this country. And Bill Jardine one time, and I'm laughing at this thing, said to us as we went to this meeting with about Ben Tengimfene, the old man, may his soul rest in peace as well, Krishma Geduj and others. And Pastor Son, we got to this meeting and Bill Jardine said before we left, please, young man, when you go in there, don't even drink their tea. Don't even eat their biscuits. So he said, but uncle, when we're offered tea and biscuits, no, you do not take them. Tell them that's the kind of situation we were in as the younger generation of administrators. But he was not saying that in a criminal or even or whatever evil way, but he was just saying, you'll be sucked in if you drink their tea, if you eat their biscuits. So on the way, we just said, no, uncle, leave us alone, we'll see what we do. So those are some of the things that were there. And we were trying, advocate, to change attitudes, to accept that we are one. We've been away from each other because of some racial, but we want to be one with everybody. So change the attitudes. Let's accommodate each other and move forward. That's why I'm saying that it was not about numbers. It was not about only quotas. Yes, quotas came around, but it wasn't about that mostly. It was about persuading each other to recognize that we are South Africans coming from different backgrounds. Let's embrace each other. But when I left in 2004, and please feel free to ask me any question, I felt as Ngconde, Matemba, Balfour, that we've made a contribution. How it works from here doesn't depend on me as a minister. And I kept on saying to all of them, I'm not just a minister. I'm your father, I'm your mother, I'm your brother, I'm your uncle. Please, let's talk about this thing. We had challenges, quite a lot of challenges, but we were able to overcome them by talking to each other. Now, Dumisa, Advocate Ntsebeza, I used to call him, I still do, you call him Dumisa, knows that in this whole transformation train that we are on in again, which we shouldn't be, I said to him, you know, this is like a boil, itumba. And what do you do with a boil? You take a knife. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a surgeon, I'm not anything, I'm just a village person, a farmer now. Was with his cattle and goats and dogs. You cut the boil. Boom, whatever it is, comes out, blood comes out, you clean it. and you push on the way to exactly where we wanted to go, to transformation. That destination to me is an ongoing destination. You can't just stop it. You've got to let it go. That train, when I stopped it, or was stopped by government in 2004, when I was appointed then to become Minister of Correctional Services, I said, I'm leaving the keys in the ignition of that train. Whoever takes over, lunch boxes and everything, there's the train. It's moving forward. Help it.
Mr. July?
Yeah. Mr. Balfour, I hear you. I hear you when you leave in 2004. And I hear you when you say you've made your contribution. But what does not come out very clear, what is it exactly that the building blocks that you put there before you left? What is it that you did as a minister to make sure that this transformation, which has no destination, which is it must continue, which is a process. I understand you to be saying that. You are not suggesting that it has no destination. At some point we must get off this train because there has to be a destination. But the question, what is it that you did? And when you're trying to do what you did, what were the stumbling blocks on what you tried to do? Today we are sitting here, talking about what you say you have started some years ago. And that's exactly why we want, when we address this issue, we want to address it with the roots so that we reach this destination. We can't be traveling forever. We have to get to the destination. Yes.
Thank you very much. Remember, I said in my opening statement that if anybody has to be blamed for whatever, I think if anybody said, put up your hands, those who think you have to be blamed, I will be the first one. I will be. I will take responsibility for anything that happened in sport between 1999 and 2004. I take that responsibility even now. When I left, and we'll start, or let me just start with that. Let's go through what you are calling the building blocks. We have done the building blocks in ascertaining that young people, black or white, and get into the system. We fought battles. But it's not my style to be going into those kinds of battles and name names. I don't want to, because it's not in my style to do that. I was an enabler of sport rather than an interference in sport. So I'm quite clear about that. Probably I should give you two examples that to me were stuck examples of what I thought was what I wanted. Now, if you look at, and I think Umakaya knows, he can phone me anytime, when Makaya's issue came up, I didn't run to anybody with accusations. All I said as a minister, as Utata Ubuti, Omdala, who's the minister, was to rope in everybody in cricket South Africa to say, listen here, we've got to work together to make sure that this young man gets onto the trajectory that we want, irrespective of who he is and who he should be or who he became. Let's get in. Put the shoulder to the wheel and make sure that this young man goes into the mainstream of cricket. We succeeded. I did not succeed only as a minister. I'd never take hollow victories. I don't. That's not my style again. We worked together with those who are in cricket, embraced each other, formed a circle around the whole issue, and we got him through. At the end, what did we achieve? A brilliant cricketer, a fantastic bowler, one of the best in this country. I would have done it for anybody. I would have done it in soccer. I would have done it in rugby. I would have done it in any sport, even in gymnastics. I've never played gymnastics. Or in netball. I did play netball. You can imagine me with a netball skirt. To try and promote the sport, not just to try and promote the sport. And people abasuka from the Eastern Cape will say, "Unxibe skirt, you're wearing a skirt now just to play in netball." Yes, I would say, yes, I would do that. Because I'm a father of children. I'm a father of 3 daughters. And I'm proud of them for being who they are. So all I'm saying is that there were building blocks. When I left in 2004, without apportioning any blame to anybody, I left knowing I've left sport as President Mbeki moved me to correctional services in a healthy environment, and I'm quite happy. But more than that, to see our teams flourishing in all sports, cricket included, I was quite happy to see them flourishing so that whatever happens in the boardroom does not negatively impact on the players. I'm still of the opinion, even now, that what they've done in the West Indies, I take my hat off for them. Amidst all these growing concerns, they have made us smile again. It's not easy to smile when the team is going down. It's good to smile when you see the team coming up as champions and fighters.
Yes.
You're right. Well, one of the names you mentioned was Mr. Kaya Majola.
Yeah.
What would you have loved if you were asked to talk about Kaya Majola? And how would you want him to be known through you as a model that you felt you must mention in the context of talking about cricket in South Africa or even internationally?
Thank you very much, Advocate. My heart goes out to, first of all, the Majola family. Right now, his younger brother, Gaila, has lost his wife. My heart goes out to him. I sent him a message. Now, let me come back to Ukaya. I met Kaya at Lovedale. We were doing teacher's course together. We had heard about his father, Dr. Eric Majo. I've never met him, but I met his sons. We played cricket together. Kaya was far and above what I could achieve as a cricketer. I was a village cricketer. We went to school together at Lovedale. He showed his medal there, not only in cricket. You wouldn't believe that Kaya at one stage was the scrum half of our rugby team at Lovedale. So, Ebenezer Korn, he had the skill set that you need for an athlete. We worked together. We left after Lovedale and went on to do different things as teachers, because I was a teacher as well. Although my children refused to accept that I was a teacher, because the time they grew up, I was not a teacher at all. I was a runner not a runner is in athletics, running from the law. So when I took over, Kaya had just been brought into cricket by the likes of Steve Chwete, who was the minister then before me, Mr. Fixit. May his soul rest in peace. He's my bigger brother. He used to say, in the absence of your father, I am your father. And I would laugh at that. That's for Steve. Kaya was brought into cricket at the national level because of what he had achieved. And when I got in, I met a friend as a minister, and he was the administrator next to Dr. Ali Baha, because we were trying to make sure that there's balance and there is transformation in cricket, not only from down there, but from the top as well, so that we can get this balance. Kaya would phone me and say, Minister, and I would actually disagree with him that I am a minister. And I used to say, I'm not a minister when I phoned him. Ngconde. And he says, no, you are my minister. And I said, no, I'm not. But we brought him, he was brought in, not by me, by Abu Steve, and to make sure that things are doing well in cricket. He did. We worked very well with him, with the administrators in cricket. And whenever he had a challenge, he would phone and just come to see me. And I would discuss that, and we would put together our thoughts and write them down and say, this is the way it should happen. We never took sides in anything. We didn't. We wanted cricket to be transformed and to be stabilized like any other sport, and to open entrances for youngsters to come in and for others. Not saying only that it's black or Indian or colored youngsters, but everybody. When I talk about Kaya, I also talk about Vincent Barnes, and I'll talk about others in the Western Cape like Barney Leanders. I'll talk about a number of them who I worked with to make sure that we keep this transformation train going to its destination. Kaya didn't, he went sick. I would visit him in hospital, sit with him, talk to him, and make sure that he knows that the Ministry of Sport under Ngconde Balfour is there for him and for anybody else to make sure that things go well. That to me was the kind of man that was Ukaya Majon. Respectful, humble, but knowing and focused on where we were going. But then, as life would be like, that took him away from us. But before that, we had discussions on some of the tournaments that are played in South Africa, the junior tournaments and everything. I still remember, I went down to PE when we launched the Kaya Majola week. And he was very, very proud, and we were very proud to attach his name to the journey of cricket.
Thank you. Thank you, Togo. The last name you mentioned, or the last name I would like you to talk about, is Ngconde. Ngconde spelled Q-E-Q-E. What do you know? What do you remember of Ngconde? What do you remember of his contribution towards this sporting code called cricket?
Advocate, I just want to touch on one person. I'm going to come to Ombudsman. One person who was a strong, very strong pillar of strength in cricket. That's Krish Makeduch.
You spell that?
Krish, Krish.
Yes.
And his surname is Makedush. I might spell it wrong, but you'll get it in the annals of history of cricket. Krish Makeduch stands out. Before I go to Den Kuyker, if Krish Makeduch was not at the helm of the South African Cricket Board, which was then the one we come from, we wouldn't be where we are today. When we had meetings as the NSC with cricket, one of the people we could convince to come over for cricket unity was Krish Makeduch. The one person who slept and dreamt about cricket was Krish Makeduch. I honor him. We did. We honored him at Fort Hare, where I'm sitting now, by calling the Cricket Academy after him. Krish Makeduch, who led from the front to make sure that we get to where we are in cricket. But again, as life is like, death intervened. I leave it at that, but I take my hat off for him and his family. Omden, what can I say about Omden? Omden was one of the elders of our movement. Rugby, cricket, everything. He was that kind of person who we'd go to when things are tough. When Omden led the movement in rugby, there were a number of other people like Silas Nkanunu, May, also his soul, rest in peace. Those are the people who were Presbyterians. I'm a Presbyterian, Uniting Presbyterian, Umdala. As Amachabe would say, Sisem Kosini Omni, we're in the same kind of challenge and war. Same Kosini Omni, Sonke. Omden was a pillar of strength for both rugby and cricket. I still remember when Ikwaru was formed. I'm not going to go into that because that's rugby. But Omden was there. One of the people who would say, Sonke, I come from Alice, from Den, East London, PE, and others from all over. But we knew when a challenge comes, we all put our shoulders to the wheel. And Omden says, there were no floodlights, there was nothing. But Omden played a pivotal role in making sure that eventually abantu, and I want to talk about bye. Oh no, sorry, Kabech. I'm not only talking about Kabech. I'm talking about the sporting belt now of the Eastern Cape. Port Elizabeth, Makhanda, Grahamstown, come through. You've got Fort Beaufort, you've got Bedford, you've got Adelaide. Go on to Alice, Ekayet again, where I am now. Go on to Middle Drift, Eklesi. Go on to Ekong, Nezalali, Zakona Zamakale Gusha, because that's where most of the cricket was played, Makale Gusha. In these villages that and other towns, small towns I'm talking about, we knew that come December, Kamakale Gusha, even those who are on the mines came back home to play Amakale Gusha because there was no money, prize money for that. Of money Gusha, half of a sheep, that's a lot to feed your family. But it was not about that. It was about the camaraderie that went on there. Yem Tanzane, Emonti, Ningahoni, Mui Plus, all those, I know them personally. That's why sometimes I get a little bit brittled up when people talk about cricket, when they don't know even the villages we come from. They don't know the struggles we came through. They don't know about the infrastructure that in those villages, that's not there. But if you take a school like Selborne College, you look at the grounds. I've got 3 boys who came through. You look at the grounds of a primary school and you look at what the villages have, you hang your head and say, dear Lord, we need to fix this. So all what I'm saying is that we worked on the ground in these areas. We were not sitting in a boardroom become independent directors. I don't want to become independent. I can never be independent from sport. That to me will never happen because I love sport. I can't be independent director. And from lofty places, talk to the people you don't know and the places you don't know. May his soul rest in peace. Fought a battle, fought with us. He was not in a boardroom. He was not on planes and trains and everything. Not none of us were there. When we brought in Alice, for instance, infrastructure development, you look at the ground, the cricket ground, it's run down. 7 internationals have been played there. But nobody cares now what goes on. These villages, the Victoria grounds are gone. If I drive in my buggy to go to East London to see my family, I sometimes stop and cry on my own and say, we could have done better than this. We could have really done better, but we didn't. And I'm not excluding myself from that. I may have moved from sport in 2004 to 2009 in correctional services, but my heart always is in sport. My heart is in cricket. My heart is in rugby. My heart is in every sport in this country. Because for 5 years, and I think I might be wrong, I think I'm the only minister who served 5 years as it is, 1999 to 2004. After that, I don't know what happens. I know a lot of ministers came and go, but that's got nothing to do with me. But I'm the only one who's surviving. After Steve, 5 years, 94 to 99, gave over to Ngconde Balfour, this boy from Ngconde. In 2004, we served at the president's leisure in government. When the president said, take that and fix it as well, I did. So I've got those kinds of feelings when I talk about sport that I left. I don't know what happened after that. I will never point a finger to anybody, but we could have done better. Infrastructure development is gone. Stadiums are gone. The places I thought our children would go through. There's one like Loma Kaya Ntini, which I opened. There's one that I was sent by somebody who saw my name on it. And I feel ashamed because I feel I didn't do better. But I left sport with the one thing that I always look at and say, we put on a legacy of the 2010 World Cup. I was the minister who collected all those kinds of documents that needed to go to Sepp Blatter and his company so that we can get 2010. We failed in 2006, but we said we'll come back with all the administrators there, about Danny, Ivan, the same with the IPL. I think we had the IPL, we hosted it in 2003, if I'm not mistaken. And it did well. Leave out the frills. I don't want frills. All I want is to see our youngsters going on to become good cricketers, good sports people, and making sure that they look after those who are role models to them and join in and move forward so that I can watch them abo Monde Zondeki, abo Justin Ontong, abo Graham Smith, bonke, nabo Pollock, nabo Hansi Cronje. His soul rest in peace, who died. And even then, I was the minister who said, we're going to enable this process. He was captain, my captain. Graham Smith was captain, my captain. In sport, everyone, be it Bafana, they were my kids through and through, and my players. So when I touch on these 40 players and saw them crying, it was painful. Thank you.
Siyabulela Ngconde. Siyabulela Togo. Didi siyabulela Togo. Ngiyabona ba into ekuchukumisayo le. This is something that is very it touches your heart just to mention it. And let me assure you that when we thought of you as somebody who would contribute to our understanding and our response to the mandate of the board and the mandate of the terms of reference, it was because we knew that in you we would get someone who will speak from the heart. And that is what enriches this process. There would have been those who would wanted you to be technical and come with the statistics and everything else. But the evaluation, obviously, of the entire project will come at the end. But I speak here for the moment. And the moment is that you have gone out of your way, even in retirement, to make yourself available for almost 1.5 hours and sit with us and actually cause yourself to be reminded of some of those things that brought tears to your eyes then, the remembrance of which brought tears to your eyes today. And that does not happen without a reason. When anyone gets moved to tears, just like Dumile Matez at some stage said, he remembers that the Archbishop Desmond Tutu, in listening to some of the stories that came before us in the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, was at one stage moved to tears. The mandate of this project says so in so many ways, that there was a period in our past which we must look in the face with all its imperfections, the past with all its imperfections, with all the victims that were victims of that past, with all the perpetrators who were perpetrating the victimhood of those who were victims in the past. But the spirit should be one that seeks to say, we have now all looked into this past, we have seen it. We have hurt ourselves in the process of telling it, of telling that story. We have caused our wounds to reopen.
Yes.
But the aim and purpose of it all is to say, what now? So what now? And we would hope that everyone would appreciate that lying at the very foundation of this project is a desire to say to all of us in this country of ours, lest we forget. Lest we forget. Let's remember we come from a past. We are in the present, and we want to live a country and an environment for our children that will be a far better environment than we came into and we lived through. And if I take nothing from what you have done and said today, I take that you remember a period when you wandered in the various capacities of a player, of a community leader, and of a national leader, and of a minister. You even had a period and a theme that said, destination transformation. And that's a powerful theme in your ministry and in your commitment to this sport. And as you say, it was not just about cricket. It was about all sport. And we will try, sitting here with my evidence leader and my legal advisor, and we will think about this. And that is why I feel you need to know that we thank you very much for having come. And I hope this will be an example to other people, players past and present, to understand that you would not have landed your support by coming to this process if you didn't think that it is something worth the nation's while. The nation needs this. For us to move forward, we need to look into our past, position the past in the present, and say, we now see where we ought to go. Thank you very much, Mtaka Balfour.
Ngconde Advocate. Ngiyabuyela bhuti.
Well, we'll adjourn.
Yes.
Yes.
For 5 minutes and then we have.
Okay. We will adjourn for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much.